Today we're talking about how Blackmagic just made some major improvements on their pocket cinema camera lineup with their Firmware 7.3 update. But first, if you're new to the channel, my name is Anson, and on this channel we talk about filmmaking, specifically budget gear, tutorials, and a behind the scenes look at the projects that I'm working on. So if that's something you're into, consider subscribing. Now, I'll be honest, this was not the video I was planning to make today. I was actually about to drop a Gen 4 versus Gen 5 color space comparison video, but fittingly enough, Blackmagic decided to drop their 7.3 update today, which actually allows you to shoot in Gen 5 on the Pocket 4K and 6K. But there are also a couple other improvements that this update does for your Pocket cinema camera lineup. So we're going to address that here today, and then maybe talk about Gen 5 a little bit towards the end. So with that being said, let's talk about what some of those updates include. First and foremost, the update does include a fix for the LCD issue for the 6K Pro. Now, if you're not familiar, the 6K Pro does suffer from a blue tint on its LCD screen. Some units are experiencing it and some are not. When I tested the 6K Pro, I didn't notice a blue tint on the LCD screen, but if you are noticing a tint on yours, this update is there to help calibrate that color accuracy. So that's one big improvement and much anticipated improvement that comes from Blackmagic with this update. Now, there is an update for Pocket 6K owners that is amazing, and that is the fact that now you can record BRoll in 4K. We saw this with the 6K Pro, and honestly, in my review, it was one of the features I loved about the 6K Pro is that you can record 4K in BRoll, and so is a welcomed update for Pocket 6K users. Now, there are updates that affect all the Pocket cinema cameras, starting with the 4K all the way up to the 6K Pro, and that is things like the histogram now includes your RGB channels. Now, apparently this Firmware 7.3 update does improve autofocus. I can't really test that because I don't own any autofocus lenses right now for the Pocket cameras. Now, for those of us that are manual focus snobs, the focus peaking has been improved as well. Now, something that really excites me about this update is that false color now has a false color guide. I actually prefer false color on my external monitor over the Pocket cameras because there's no guide to it. And so now having a guide with false color is a really nice bonus and actually something I'm really excited about. Now, some improvements that are just coming to the 4K and 6K are things like you can adjust the dimming on your LCD screen to help conserve battery power. They have now added Q1 and Q3 for BRoll recording, so that's really nice to see as well. But obviously the standout improvement for me with this update is the fact that now the 4K and 6K can shoot in the Gen 5 color space. I'm actually recording it right now. For better or for worse, this is the first time I'm actually recording in the Gen 5 color space, and so if this turns out horrible, you'll know that I'm still getting used to it. And this was actually going to be the original video I made for this week, is talking about the Gen 5 color space and what it does for you when you film with the Pocket 4K and 6K. Now, obviously I don't want this video to be super long, and so I'm going to give you the condensed version of what I was going to originally make this video about, and that's talking about what Gen 5 does offer you. And so with that being said, there are a couple of major things that Gen 5 does do for you when you're shooting with the Pocket 4K or 6K. First and foremost, when you are in the film profile, you're going to see a much flatter image with Gen 5. It is going to be very similar to other log profiles from other cameras. It's almost like a true log profile when you're filming in Gen 5. And that, of course, does give you a little bit more flexibility in post to push the colors around a little bit more. And so not only does it give you a flatter image when you're filming with Gen 5, but also you're going to see a vast improvement on skin tones. One of the big things that Blackmagic pushed with the Gen 5 color space is a better skin tone rendition. And so what are some of those improvements on the skin tone? Well, one, you'll see better highlight roll off with the Gen 5 color space, and comparing it to the previous generation, Gen 4 actually has a little bit more muted skin tones. It doesn't look super natural until you start pushing the colors around a little bit more. And so with the Generation 5 color space, you may not have to push the skin tones around a lot more in post because they're already really good coming out of camera. And where this is really helpful is if you're having to use the extended video or the video profile because maybe you're doing a live stream or a live event, and so you don't have that ability to push those colors around in post because you're live. And so this really gives you the ability to get good skin tones straight out of camera for those different profiles as well. And so those are some of the benefits that you do see when you upgrade to the Gen 5 color space. And so with that, I am really excited about this firmware update and some of the improvements that this makes on the Pocket Cinema camera lineup. And so again, not a super long video. I just want to give you some information on this firmware update and what to expect if you're looking to update your cameras. As always, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like. And if you're digging the overall content from the channel, consider subscribing. Go and find your journey. Go embrace life. Stay safe, be happy, support each other. Wash those hands, and I'll see you here next time. Peace.